Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Heidi here. Heidi's Road to Happiness. Heidi's Road to Happiness. Heidi here. Ah, you can mess that all up. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are. Bonjour. Today I'm going to ask you a question. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself one way and maybe find out that you're acting a different way that you never even realized? What's in your self-talk? When you're sitting back at home or just driving or doing whatever, there's a constant frick track going on in there. What is it saying? What are you saying to yourself? What are you talking about? Are you talking about all the good things in your life? Are you talking about all the negative things in your life? Because, I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes the person you think you are compared to the person you really are two different things. And sometimes when you find out, it's kind of scary. And I'm going to tell you, it's always good to either figure it out yourself, and that's hard to do because you don't know until you know. And then when you know, you got to change the pattern, right? But up until then, you might not know what you need to know, but you just don't know. I know that's tongue twisting and blah, 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 but you get what I'm saying. Now look it. If you realize it yourself, you can pull back and you can look at it and feel it, right? But if someone brings it up to you, you're going to hope and pray that it's someone who loves you, because that's a hard nut to swallow. I know, I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Look, in the old days, I was the person who felt that everything was my fault. Okay, didn't matter what was going on in anybody's life, well, I had something to do with that, right? Say, something didn't happen right at school for the kids. Oh, it's because I didn't do something, or some bill wasn't paid. Well, it's because I did it wrong, or something was sent wrong. Whatever. It was always my fault. I always felt like it was my fault. And that's not a good place to be. That's not a good space to be in, because you're just telling yourself you're not good all the time, right? And that's self-talk. And it's not good, right? It's just not good. And sometimes you don't even realize what you do to protect yourself, because a lot of times we're protecting ourselves because we don't want to hear the truth, we don't want to know the truth, we don't want to see the truth. It's not always good, right? So I had this one friend. She always said, because I always was worried, it's not all about you. It's not all about you all the time. Why do you think everything evolves around you? It's not all about you. Okay? So, all right, I could take that, but still it wasn't clicking. It wasn't clicking. Okay? So there was an issue between my daughter and I, and I guess I didn't realize it was an issue, right? Like, I'm like, oh, I thought it was a good mom, thought it was a good parent, whatever, and she had an issue and she wanted to talk to me about it. So we sat down and she started, and somehow it clicked. It triggered me, and I started to feel panicked and anxious and defensive. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and I was losing my shit. And I started having like mental breakdowns. And I was very good at this, especially during that time. And Kira says, she comes over and she sits beside me and she says, Mom, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. I want to talk to you about something, but you can't take it so personal that you can't be talked to. You got to understand that this is communication. And, she's my youngest. And she's a pretty smart chickie. She really is. I don't know where she gets that from. But she's very smart, intelligent. And she points things out sometimes that are not like the very obvious. And sometimes I don't see the very obvious because I don't want to see it, baby. I don't get it. But what had happened at that time was she taught me a very important thing that I was doing. We talked it out after, and we were fine. And she's just like, I just want to come and sit down and have a conversation with you, discuss it like adults, and see if we can work out some stuff. And I'm like, oh, but I just took it and ran with it and became insane lunatic lady like I always do. Having a meltdown. Not quite the Tasmanian devil, but still having a meltdown, right? Can't be doing that. That's not right. Can't be having that all the time. But that's who I was. I was not the warrior. I always felt like the victim. Now, that really made me learn some stuff, right? That conversation meant a lot to me. It's one of those epiphany moments. Because you don't realize. And that's why I say, do you really know who you are? And then how do you talk to yourself in there? Because if you're just being the victim in your head all the time, how are you supposed to be a warrior in real life, right? Anyway, as the year went by, maybe 2 years after that, you know, I heard about a party, and I wasn't invited, and I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not invited? What's going? What? Like I didn't say, "What do you mean I'm not invited?" But I'm in my head, I'm like, "Well, I didn't get an invitation. What's going on with that?" And in my old self, I would have tore that apart, tore myself apart, ripped myself to shreds, trying to figure out what I did to these people that I was not invited to their party, right? Turns out it wasn't a party. It was just a couple of friends coming over for beer and cards, right? But in my head, because he didn't specify after, he just felt silly because when he found out it was just a couple of people, he even felt sillier. So we didn't talk about it. But regardless, it was just a couple of people for beers and cards. And I didn't come up, and I'm not even an issue. But once again, I felt it. I felt it when it started. Okay? In the old days, I would have lost my shit trying to figure it out. But no, I heard it, and I'm like, I felt that little, that, it's like a thermostat thing, right? Like the red's coming up the thermostat. It's like the heat. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's not all about me, and who cares if I'm not there? And I probably, wouldn't have a good time anyway, whatever. I just went to the other side. But the truth of the matter was, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about anything. It just was. So I'm really excited about that because that's a very big thing for me. Now, that was about a year and a half after the realization, conversation slapped in my face by my daughter, and I love her for it. It's wonderful. It made me a better person. And in the last while, she's been going through a lot of stuff. And she wanted to talk to me, and she had mentioned something, and it didn't. I didn't act as per usual when she mentioned it, and then we laughed about it after I said, "I know, hey, aren't you proud?" And she's like, "Yes, yes, I am. Good for you." But I mean, we learn from these things, and when you find out stuff about yourself that you weren't expecting to find out from somewhere, off the cuff, out of the blue, you got to be kind to yourself. Okay, be kind to yourself because to reach that road to happiness, like I said, it's bumpy, and you gotta stand up. You gotta stand up and recognize that you're not always in the right. You're not always gonna be that good guy, even though you think you are in your head. Well, get a grip. It might not be what you think. Sometimes you gotta pull back and look. That's all. That's all I got for you today, people. Hey, you know what? Valentine's Day is coming. Remember last year I went on Valentine's Day, I think it was. I went to the pinball place. Maybe I'll go there this year because I'm still single. No, maybe not. That's a nice place for couples. So, anyway, hey, what I want you to do, go out there, pay it forward, find yourself a good deed to do. I love you. You know I do. Cheers. Heidi's out.